welcome to Devoxx Belgium. I have a camera and a microphone. Let's have a talk with some of the speakers and the guests.
This is Baruch Sadogursky.
And this is Viktor Gamov.
And this is how we do introduction to each other during our pair talk as well.
Okay.
Because, you know, it's not polite to pump yourself, so we pump each other.
Yes.
We have a talk. What's the subject?
Subject talk calls Robocoders and agentic ID face-off.
So the idea is that we get a bunch of tools as much as time allows. And yesterday we had a 3-hour slot, so we brought 6 AI agentic tools and gave them exactly the same setup, exactly the same prompt, and just waited to see what happens.
Yeah, we try to show how different tools can provide more or less consistent results based on consistent methodology. So we introduce few methodologies that people can apply for their agentics, because sometimes people find themselves very confused and a little bit I don't know, like frustrated with the vibe coding things, because the system is not giving them result what they're expecting. And this is also expected, because you put in garbage as the input, you're expecting to get something nice, but you're actually getting garbage is out.
And we can do better, right? So there are different tools that have different model massaging, what we call, like all the system prompts and pre-processing and post-processing. So there you will get different results by using different tools, but you can also use different models, and not all models created equals. There are smarter models, there are models that just catching up, and you can also apply methodologies to how model works, and you can instruct it to pay attention on different things, to do the right thing from the beginning. For example, you can use test-driven development, you can use behavior or spec-driven development, you can verify what the model does in different ways. And the fascinating thing is that having the exactly same prompt, that was kind of a premise that you will use the same prompt, but everything else was different, and we got vastly different results, which was fascinating to see for us, because we obviously didn't rehearse it, and it was fascinating to see for the audience, because they didn't know what to expect.
And what was the best one? So you had 6 different approaches?
Everyone wants to know
what's the winner. Yes.
You need to watch 3 hours video. I'm just kidding. So what the winners? Surprisingly, we found ourselves in a very interesting position, because in the past, when we're trying to do this like live coding, and it usually takes some time, and iterating over certain things will take some time. And in this particular situation, our winners just spent first 15 minutes, and after that they were done. The application was ready, and all the specifications were, implemented. So we found the JetBrains Juni did an amazing job. We found the Kiro from Amazon did amazing job, and also command line tool Claude Code did amazing job. Like first 15 minutes, we spent a little bit more time on Kiro, just explain the approach with the spec-driven development. But in general, that's what we have. That's the results. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, we put this other ideas in slightly more constrained environments. We use slightly less research models, I would say.
Yeah, so the winners all had an advantage of having the most advanced models. So Claude Code uses Sonnet 4.5, which is amazing. Juni uses Sonnet 4.5.
No. On the Juni, we expected this to use Sonnet 4.5. We actually used GPT-5 because by mistake, because with the recent update, the JetBrains put this GPT-5 as a default model, and it was still surprisingly how good it was. Comparing to what we tried to do with like GPT OSS and some like local models, the hosted models are just amazing.
And the others where we would put them in a more constrained environment. So we tried, for example, the new Grok coding model in Visual Studio Code, and it did what it could. It's just a younger model. It still has to learn, so that's why it wasn't as impressive. We tried Codex with obviously GPT-5, and I switched it to thinking mode, and it wasn't the thinking process, the reasoning was very impressive. It just took too long. It didn't finish on time. by now, I think that our takeaway from this, we need a more complicated app to really challenge the top tools out there, like your Juni, your Sonnet 445. Our app is just too easy for them by now.
So even though this app was not something kind of like go write a microservice, we wanted to have like something a little bit challenging, a little bit unknown. So that's why it's a combination of IoT and microservice and a little bit of front end and doing some interesting things, interacting with the webcam. So essentially, on the webcam, we can read the color from your T-shirt and the light bulb in the room. So that will change the color that matches your T-shirt.
So
that
not
was
trivial,
the idea.
not trivial.
No,
Right? It has some moving parts. It has APIs that the tool need to research and what's not. And in previous runs, we started to do this talk. I think like probably like 8 months ago. It was enough. It was challenging enough. Now it's not. We really need to up the game and come up with something more complicated.
These models are trained on existing code, which it can find online. I have very good experience with asking questions for Java, Vix, Vaadin, stable technologies. It's only when you start experimenting with the latest Java 25.
It's a perfect.
We have an answer for that.
Is that a challenge?
It is. So the way how I started, I got get into this type of set of tooling and in the set of how I can use this efficiently. It's not like I'm using like new versions. I'm using very obscure piece of technology that maybe the models were no like very vague understanding. I'm in the world of Apache Spark, Apache Flink, Kafka, and all these kind of things, and I try to weigh how I can build like Kafka and Flink applications. It was not easy until we
discovered one of the most amazing MCPs, Model Context Protocol servers out there, called Context 7, and those guys provide up-to-date docs, APIs and context samples for any technology in the world. And the way they do it with any technology in the world, you can give them either GitHub or a website with examples and documentation, and they will expose it to your models through MCP protocol, Model Context Protocol through MCP, and it will learn whatever you needed to learn on the spot. It works amazingly, and there are other ways to do it. For example, Simon Maple, our friend in Tessl, they do something very similar with their spec-driven development. So there is something that they call the spec registry, which is basically the same. It's a library of known documentation that will be downloaded to your machine for your tool to use, and then suddenly there is no such thing technology that it didn't know. Even more so, we actively instruct it against using any previous knowledge. Right? We start with you know nothing, Jon Snow, about this technology. Only use Context 7 to get the right information, and then it's magic.
So when you writing your prompt, it's again the part of the prompt engineering basically. Every time when we're trying to build some frameworks, go and check documentation, check how the certain classes, for example, the good example, REST template versus REST client, which new class in Spring in the Spring recent versions versus REST template that is deprecated. They have some knowledge about REST template, but we want to say, okay, so you don't have any knowledge. Go there and research this, and it definitely changed a lot. So that's why we start seeing like less confusion, less hallucinations on the model, and compilation errors. It's just gone. No, like seriously, with the right documentation, right code snippets, and we know that the Spring AI has great documentation, while the Spring AI, Spring Boot has a lot of good documentation. It just need to matter of like attaching correct documentation bits, and the Context 7 solves this problem. You don't need to build your own RAG to do semantic search or like a vector search of these things. It's already handled on Context 7 and exposed in the MCP protocol to any model. Whenever IDE supports MCP, I think that's essential. If you're releasing new IDE or new agentic coding tool, you need to have to support this, because otherwise it's useless. You will be very far behind until you have this implemented.
So my name's Simon Maple. What brings me to Devoxx? I've been a long-term kind of Devoxx fan. Done many presentations for Devoxxes all over the world. So and yeah, actually the company I'm with now, Tessl, new startup, and once we launched, it's like, oh, we've got to be at Devoxx Belgium. Let's do that.
And what are you doing with the company?
So the company is a newly founded company. It's only 18. I say newly founded. It's 18 months already, but we only launched a few weeks ago. And it's really looking at how some of the amazing new AI technologies, while being amazing, can we actually harness them in such a way where we can reliably use them in a more spec-oriented, spec-driven way to provide, to go the next level beyond vibe coding, and actually have something which is more production ready, more verifiable, more something that we can validate very deterministically. So it's all about how spec-driven can take us to the next level with AI.
So you are using AI on the developer side?
Absolutely, it's all about developer workflows, and of course, trying to look at it a little bit more natively. So we're trying to, think about AI native and what that means. So ultimately, if the developer environment were to be looked at from the ground up again, using AI as a core first-class citizen, how would that change what we do? And we lean into specs more. And while, from my personal developer point of view, it kind of like moves me a little bit further away from the code. It's definitely remains that creativity, that developer, almost architect style creativity around how things should be designed, how things should be built and organized. But yeah, that's the model we're aiming for.
So AI is great. I use it a lot for experiments. Give me an example of how I can do this. But building something completely AI-driven is a bit far away.
It's very challenging. We love agents. Agents are very, very powerful. There are a number of ways in which agents can kind of like fall apart, though. I'm sure we've all, your listeners have kind of like fallen into the trap as well, where they make one change and actually it affects several other things. Like there's collateral damage across the application. Sometimes it spirals and just can't get the thing right because it doesn't have it in the knowledge base. It doesn't have the right context. So there's a ton of things that we're trying to do that kind of, first of all, makes agents more reliable, more accurate. So we're trying to provide a registry of specifications, completely open beta right now and completely free to use. And the idea is these specifications describe how an agent should use libraries. So open source libraries, each of them have specifications by version, and that specification describes the APIs that exist, how to use the APIs, examples of best practices of using those, and then when that information then gets sent, it actually gets installed on the machine, which just essentially means downloaded onto the local file system, we spawn off a little sub-agent, which then, based on the request you ask, takes the right context from each of those usage specs and passes that as context to the agent, the main agent thread. And that main agent then has a greater chance of being able to accurately write code, generate code, based on the fact that it's connecting with these APIs. So without that, agents can code against the wrong versions or hallucinate APIs far, far more easily.
How are you looking at all the evolutions now, not only on developer side, but also what you can do in your application with AI?
It's amazing, frightening. It's all of these. It's like I think one of the things, particularly working in a company that is using AI, I've never seen anything travel so fast through an industry as what we're seeing right now with AI. I think there's definite being people wanting to be able to run before they can walk, and I think is absolutely imperative that when we build with AI, both in our development processes and our applications, we do so with that sense of understanding of, the fact that this can generate anything at any time, which is obviously during runtime a little bit more challenging, but we can add guardrails in, and I think guardrails are the key to not just effective, but any kind of reasonable AI usage. In development, tooling is one of the best things we can do. We can use to make sure that we are guiding the processes at the best of times, but also recognizing what we need to do better from a code review point of view, how we don't burn ourselves out from just being code review machines, but also these guardrails that we can add in through tools in runtime as well. Guards that effectively are points which validate input, validate output. You give it material that you are happy for it to spill. All of those types of things. So it's incredible what it unlocks, but yeah, it's very challenging to make sure we use it morally, ethically, and without security issues and those types of things.
And not trusting it blindly.
Not trusting it blindly. I mean, everything. A lot of people say treat an AI like a junior developer. Whatever it puts out, would you put that to production? It's like they are your brand. If you put them in your app, they are your brand. And so whatever they share, you've got to be valid. You've got to stand behind it. And so you've always got to make sure there's either some level of human touch at that point when something critical is going to happen, or you put the guardrails in so that it can't do things that are potentially damaging to your company, your brand, etc. If it gets the chance.
My name is Mario Fusco, and I'm an old attendee of the Devoxx, meaning that I have done quite a few editions now, speaking about different topics. I started more than 10 years ago. It was the time when Java 8 introduced the Lambda expression. So my very first talk were about how to do functional programming in Java, and then I focused more on my day-to-day work at time was on Druch, so the rule engine of Red Hat. So I also had a few talks on this topic. Let's say the old-fashioned AI, the AI before the LLM, was this rule engine thing, and then another area where I gave a few talks is when they introduced the virtual thread. So I did a few talks about the concurrency as well. And nowadays I'm totally into this agent and AI stuff, because if you don't, you are out of the world for some reason. So I'm doing this, and today I'm mostly participating to demonstrate the work that I've done in the LangChain4j framework.
So LangChain4j is one of the main Java ways of doing AI and LLM in code?
At the moment, as far as I know, yes, it's by far the mostly used framework, and it is well integrated with many application frameworks. So, I'm a Quarkus contributor, so I also do the Quarkus extension that integrates LangChain4j, but if you are doing Spring or Micronaut, you can have some easy integration path as well, yes.
So what does Quarkus offer if you combine it with LangChain4j?
It offers a more declarative API in general. So instead of programmatically creating your AI services or agent, you can wire them with annotation in a more programmatic way. It offers CDI, so you can have the automatic injection of the agent, of the chat model and stuff like this, and so the wiring is much more simple, and offer of course a lot of the enterprise feature that you want when you actually put this stuff in production. So you have observability, you can trace how many time an agent takes and how many times it is invoked. It offers some security features, and so traceability, and all the things that you may want to use in an actual enterprise project. Yes.
You have quite some history you just mentioned in Java. How do you look at what the AI changes are now bringing to how we develop applications?
You mean this vibe coding thing?
Well,
Or?
I don't like the vibe coding myself. It generates too much fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
But can we do more things and other things if we use these tools now?
If we use these tools carefully and
Wisely.
without ever turning off our brain. I mean, it happens. I'm honest. It happens quite often now to me that I just wrote the signature of the method, and if I give a meaningful name for the method name and for the arguments, it generates the body of the method for me. And sometimes I'm surprised because it really seems that it's reading my brain. I mean, since you have the project in the context of the LLM, what impresses me sometimes is that not only generates the code, which is mostly correct, but it also follows my style of coding.
Yeah.
How I use the new line now, how I
The way
do
you
blocks.
write, yeah.
Really the same style. It really seems that I wrote it myself. So that surprised me. Sometimes it seems that it reads my brain. Some other times it's a totally failure. So, but it's a tool and it's a boost for your day-by-day work. So I use it daily. Yes.
It's not a developer replacement. It's a developer tool.
Tool. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And use it as such.
So I really appreciate what Stefan often said is that you will not replaced by AI, but a programmer that uses AI as a tool.
And knows how to use these tools. Yeah. As you talked about Java streams and virtual threads, what are some of the ongoing improvements within OpenJDK that you're really looking forward to that they get?
Well, the things that Paul Santos mentioning this morning are really exciting. I mean, really we need a way to leverage GPU from inside Java. Otherwise, it's impossible to run inference of big model from the JVM. So I'm really excited about this FFM new API and the work they are doing with Project Babylon and Project Panama.
It's a bit surprising that these two projects now seem to help to run AI-based tools in Java while they started.
Yeah, okay.
Even before
they started. Well, this happens quite often in our field. I mean, you start doing something for a totally different reason, and then it becomes useful in an unexpected way. So, yes, I believe. I mean, it's a combination of intuition, but also luck. I mean, think about NVIDIA, right? They start doing graphic card just for gaming, and then it comes the blockchain. So people who starting buy graphic cards, but just to do the Bitcoin, the mining, that stuff. And then they have been lucky for a second time because then it started this Gen AI craziness, and people start buying graphic cards, but to do Gen AI. So it's, I don't know, it's called serendipity, I think, but yes.
And the same for Tornado VM, which is already working
That's
for 10 years or more to run Java on GPUs.
And then they find the perfect application. Yes, yes, I'm following them, and we are working with them that they have a module to integrate LangChain4j with Tornado VM. So that's really interesting. Yes.
You're a speaker, so you have talks. What's the most important fact people should remember if they join one of your talks? If you can pick one.
Well, this year I'm mostly speaking about LangChain4j. The message that I want to convey is that it's not black or white. There is a whole spectrum of possibility. You can have agent that create a plan, or you can create your own plan and coordinate agent, and everything in the mix of the two. So my message for this year is that there are lots of amazing possibility with this Gen AI, but you really need to know what you are doing. And this afternoon, indeed, I gave with a couple of colleagues a talk not about how my stuff work now, how the new agentic module of Log4j works, what it does, but how we get there. So it's more about the journey than the destination, and the journey is very interesting because again, we figured out while working on this that there is not, so maybe this is really the message, especially in this field, there is not a solution that fits all problem, but you really need to be critic and figure out what's the right combination for the problem at the end.
So you're talking about agents a lot. Can I create an agent for simple tasks, for instance with Log4j? Is that a bit the goal, to isolate problems into single tasks that you can assign to an agent?
So one problem with big LLM, and if you not only with big LLM, but if you give up a big task to it in one shot, is that the probability of hallucination increases a lot. So what you do and what it works for us is that you try to split the task in a smaller step, and maybe you can have an agent with a model that is specialized for a given field. For instance, I was speaking right now with friends that work, they does medical software in Switzerland, and they are using now specialized model, of course, to check, to find cancer or to find specific disease in some pattern. So you really need to have specialized model. You really need to break your problem in smaller tasks, and then of course, and this is what the agentic modules give you. You need a way to coordinate all these agents. You need a way to have to run this task in a workflow, let's say.
Yeah. That's what we already discussed before in another interview, is that one big LLM solving everything is
well,
almost impossible.
It's almost impossible, and again, it increases a lot the possibility of that something can go wrong. Yes.
So if you can create an MCP or have some data source with the truth about a specific subject,
yes,
that's a better source.
Yes, or now there is A2A, so you have remote agent specialized for specific task, and you can connect the remote agent, and you can mix local agent that you do specialized for something, and a remote agent that you know that is good at another task, and you can mix these two things in one single big agentic system.
And probably is also better for businesses who have very critical data or personal data, that everything stays inside your company.
Sometimes, and this is another winning point for local inference, for instance in Java, because sometimes you want to send your data to a big LLM, but by doing so you are also sending your data, so probably in many cases it's said, for instance, for the medical situation you don't want to do this, so you want to have local inference, you want to run that model locally, and that's the exciting part of Project Panama, because they allow you to do this directly on the JVM, so that's nice.
So a lot of ongoing evolution, which will make this even better.
But you see, pieces are coming together in a way or another, so that's nice, yes.